pleased with the way that we played on Sunday. You never know as a coach whether your team played as good as you thought they did or as bad as you thought they did until you look at the film. And when I look back at it on Sunday evening, I was really pleased. And I'm not easy to please, but I thought we executed really well. We did a lot of things that we talk about all the time, but the composure of our team and the willingness to execute, the willingness to make extra passes, the willingness to be in the right place on defense was absolutely there. So I hope that we can continue that and move forward this week with the same type of performance.
How difficult is it for you to determine what your rotation is? You have some depth, and some players play well, and then you might not see them again for
Right.
half a game or so.
I think sometimes it's matchups. For example, LaShawn Higgs struggles sometimes when people play her a certain way and when the style of play of an opponent doesn't lend to what she does best. So in that situation, Atasia Foman might be a better option, or in the situation that we're in right now, I think that Brady Sanders has started to emerge. So sometimes it's just matchups. It's the style of play of your opponent that leads into what a player off the bench can do best.
Karen, great season, the two games maybe where it didn't go your way, the toughness factor that you were talking about when you played Baylor here. Do you feel like there's a resolve building in this team at this time of year to power through anything?
I think so. I think we were definitely in the self-check mode after the OU game. But I definitely think that the older players understand that it's getting close to tournament time. So I think that as bad as the OU loss was in our minds, it may have reset our buttons a little bit.
And in those games, obviously, the teams went after Imani, and she struggled, and their identity isn't about her, but maybe it was a little bit at times.
I think it's not just about Imani. I mean, obviously she makes a big difference for us because she's said it multiple times that how she plays defensively lends to her confidence. And so obviously if you have a 6'7" post player that's playing confidently, it's going to make your team better. But I also think that in the particular loss that we had at OU, nobody was any good. It wasn't just Imani. So I think that you have to look at that one in a different frame than you do the rest of our games or games that we may have struggled. I mean, there's been games that we haven't particularly played well that I would say it has to do with the fact that they won't let Brooke McCarty shoot. And then you have other games where, maybe our bench wasn't as good. So I think that Sunday, for example, was really good because it seemed like they let go of a lot for whatever reason and just decided to play.
More relaxed, you mean?
I think so. More relaxed, more focused on some different things other than themselves individually. And again, I don't think this is a selfish team at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that you can get caught up in people asking you what's wrong with you and why you're not putting up the same numbers and this and that, and all of a sudden you're caught up in your own self and what you're not doing for your team. And for example, I think that's where Imani got it. Wasn't that she was disappointed in herself. It was thought she was letting her team down. So I think when they sort of agreed to start thinking about the team, and then it kind of got them to a better place.
Do you think that also plays into the whole off-discussed turnover thing you mentioned coming off the Oklahoma game? You weren't going to worry as much about the turnovers because it was taking away from your team's aggressiveness, and you wanted to see, you said, I can live with some of the turnovers if you're playing the speed and tempo we need. And then you kind of got both with the West Virginia game. Didn't have nearly as many turnovers and played at that level.
And it's funny, you see, I try not to harp too much on turnovers because of the way that I like to play, but I definitely think that it's in the back of their minds because I asked them yesterday what they were most pleased about. We talk a lot the day after, what did you think you did well? And what can we do better? And the first thing that came out of all their mouths was turnovers. We didn't have very many. So you know that if they're pleased with themselves and that's what they come up with first, then it's in their minds. So it may have just been too ingrained in their brains before the Oklahoma game. And that can come across as a lot of different things. It can come across as you look tired, you don't care, all of those things when you're starting to think too much.
When you start out at 20-1, did you wonder if there was a tendency to try to play to that ranking, to that record, and not just play basketball the way you're used to playing?
No, I don't think it was. I mean, I think they had to overcome the loss against Baylor. I think they had to kind of throw away some demons after that loss, and I thought they did that because last year we let one loss turn into 2 or 3, and we haven't done that. I mean, we have 2 losses, so we're doing okay with that. I just think it's with this particular team, it's sort of they don't want to let each other down. So sometimes they're too hard on their own selves individually. For example, Empress Davenport draws the best perimeter player every time we play a game. Either she or Selena Rodrigo do. And Empress doesn't want them to score, period. So you can't guard a Brittany Martin an entire game and expect a Brittany Martin not to score, but Empress is going to be disappointed if she gets 20. Well, they may have been 20 really hard points, and she may have had to shoot a whole lot to get those 20, but she doesn't see it like that because she wants to do her job for her team, and I think that's where this team is.
You always talk about this being a special team. How hard will it be, or will it be hard for them to continue to let go and relax?
I don't think it will be. I think they're going to be able to reflect, first of all, on last year's run and remember how fun that was and the opportunity this year to actually have the first 2 at home and maybe do better and go farther than we did last year. I think seems like they're excited about that they look forward to the opportunity that's ahead of them. So I think they can see the light now. That's a tough stretch that you get in the middle of February where you can't quite see the tournament coming, but you know you're still in it and you have to play well.
Regardless what happens in these last 3 games, Coach, how happy and encouraging is it that, you know, with 3 games left, the team has already matched last year's win total, and you'll finish no lower than second for like the first time in like 12 years in the conference?
Extremely proud. That's about all I know to say. I'm extremely proud of everybody that's a part of this journey that we've been on. It started 4 years ago, and to get to a place where pretty much every time we turn around we're doing something that hasn't been done in quite some time, that's rewarding because it's happened through a lot of hard work, from the players to the support staff to recruiting. I mean, a lot goes into being at the place that we're at. And again, I don't think anybody's happy with being second, and we're not second technically yet. So I don't want anybody around here to think that we're okay with that, but very proud of the best way I know to put it is just the journey that this group has been on.
Tech's had their problems this season, but I know in the first game you were very impressed with the local kid, with Christine, is that she continued to play as a freshman at that level all the way up to this point, even with the team having its struggles.
She has. She's difficult to guard. She can shoot the 3 and put it on the floor and shoot a jump shot, so she becomes difficult. And they have the ability to put their 5 player in the screening action, which sometimes gives us some trouble because our bigs don't really want to get out and defend as much as we need them to sometimes. So we've worked on that the last couple of days, and I hope that we'll be better. But you know, she's had a terrific freshman year, and there's been times that I've looked at them on film and thought she just looks like a freshman that's playing 30, 35 minutes a game. That, you know, a lot's expected of her. Point guard at this level, period, has a lot of, you know, put on them, and then you're a freshman and you're being asked to do all she's doing. Phenomenal freshman year for Japristi.
Was there any team building exercise that you did that you felt really paid dividends to get this team to where they don't want to let each other down or doing it for each other?
Well, I think we have, Fran Harris does some team building with our team, and it's been periodic all year long. It's not something that we just did last week. They did have some last week, but it's been a process for them throughout the year, periodically, they will do a session. Sometimes we do them on the road because it gives us some time when we have downtime in the hotel. So they do it periodically, and honestly, they like it. They ask for it sometimes when they feel like they don't know where they're at. And it's free. When I say free, I don't mean it doesn't cost anything. It's free as in they get to be free with her because she's not a coach. And occasionally we'll do them with the coaches in the room, but I think it allows them to express themselves in a different way. So I think that's been helpful, and we lightened up a little bit practice-wise, so I think that may have been a benefit for them also. I was not happy a few weeks ago with just some of the things that how we were handling our business. And, you know, we had to go through a few things, I think, to get to where we are now from a discipline standpoint, but discipline carries you through a lot of things, and we just weren't being that disciplined group of people that I expect. So we got through that, and then I think last week it enabled me to take a step back and let them lighten up a little bit.
Is
It may
keeping
have
this,
helped 'em.
I'm sorry, Karen.
No, good.
Is keeping this team in the moment at all a point of emphasis as we get closer to March, to Monday, even though you got games before those moments?
I think they've learned so many lessons. Again, you have 4 seniors that have learned about every possible lesson you can learn at the college level. So I think going to Lubbock is not something they're going to take lightly at all. I mean, we almost lost there last year. So, and they're 10-5, I think, at home this year. So it's not something that we will take lightly, as we won't TCU at home on Saturday, a team that's on the bubble that's playing great basketball right now. So everybody has a purpose for what they're doing, and you can't disrespect that. And again, I don't think we didn't respect Oklahoma, but I think we forgot how bad they don't like us. And maybe we didn't go in there with the mindset that it took to beat a rival.
How much does off-the-court relationship for the players translate to on-the-court success?
I think it translates a lot, and that's the one thing that you see in this team is they have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. You know, when we're on the road together, it's almost like I have to tell them, go get in your rooms and get some sleep and get some rest, because I've had teams before that as soon as you got off the bus, they all went to their rooms. And, you know, with females in particular, I think chemistry is a huge thing. I think it is with any team, but I do think when they really genuinely care about each other, it makes a big difference. Because the bottom line is it's them. It's them. Once they get between the lines, it's them.
You have an example of the team building exercise?
We've done several of them, and again, you might want to ask Fran, because again, it's for them.
Mhm.
So a lot of it is behind closed doors, and it's what they decide they want to do together, and some of it is just open conversation about what are you feeling, and you know, it's just conversation to try to get them to open up and talk about maybe the pressures of what they're doing. I mean, we did a ropes course at the beginning of the year, which was a lot of fun. So I think just periodically throughout the year, trying to keep them focused on the team goals.
How tough do you think Brooke is? I mean, you look up, she's got 16, 18, 5 rebounds, and you look at her, and sometimes you wonder how she does it.
I would say, in fact, Sean and I were just talking about that. I think the 2 players that aren't necessarily, and again, I think the best thing about this team is that it's not about an individual at all. That's why I tend to try to get away from just talking about what Imani does for us, because this is genuinely a team, that every person has to do their part. But I think the 2 players that, I mean, they're just the engines are Selena and Brooke. And in different ways, they're both incredibly valuable. And part of it has been the fact that they have bought into playing together and not been afraid to share the responsibility of that point guard position. And it's been incredibly successful for us. I mean, I don't think anybody thought we could play those 2 kids together because of size. But, you know, you don't know the size of kids' hearts. And those 2 in particular, every single day from summer to today, give you everything they have in practice every day. And so it translates to games. And I wouldn't discount, even though Selena doesn't put up the shots and the points, maybe what she does is equally valuable. But I think you can see, those of you that follow our team, that when Brooke is playing free and Brooke is feeling confidently about her shot and confidently about being aggressive offensively, that it changes the dynamic of our team. I think everybody can see that. And you also look at teams that have actually game planned to keep her from shooting the basketball, so I think you can see her value. I think that's kind of undeniable at this point.
Does she like the fact that, like K-State will do a box and one and go after her to specifically game plan? Does
She didn't like it at first. That when K-State did it up there, she was like, what are they doing? You know, and I mean, it's not like she probably hasn't seen that before in high school. But I liked what she did against Iowa State, which was give me the ball. There was a point in time in the game when she said, Coach, give me the ball and let me come off of it, you know, off of a screen, and I'll find somebody else. So I think her understanding of I might not be scoring, but if they're manning me, then somebody else has to be open. And Brooke just wants to win. I would say that wholeheartedly about her, is that she's interested in winning.
With some of the football players and even on the men's team, they kiddingly refer to some of the seniors as old heads and give them a lot of grief. Does Selena get some of that?
No, she doesn't near as much as Brady does. You know, Brady's the grandma, so that they all laugh at her all of the time. I think the two that get it the most are Brady and Amani, probably because they've had 20 surgeries and walk like they're 50 and everything else, but Brady gets the most of it. You know, it's funny, Selena just, and you know, you've seen us on the road, Selena just does her job. And as quiet as I've ever seen a player do their job. And I'll miss her a lot.
Has Brooke been your most consistent player this year?
It depends on what area you're talking about. I mean, I would have to give Selena and Brooke the nod together as far as just what they bring every day to the table because of the pressures of that position. But I could go down the line. I mean, Empress comes to practice every day and works and prepares herself to guard the best player on the other team. And you could go down the line, and that's the one thing that I've really enjoyed about this team, is that you don't have to get them to work. And maybe that was something that last week was a positive for me to say, okay, let's back off, because when we go out there, and I mean, we have players on you know, we have a practice squad that are of guys that do not cut them any slack at all, and then we have a couple of, we have NECA's practicing right now. Lord, we all got some headgear yesterday when she came out there. And then Callie-Ann Goudreau, who is sitting out right now. So what they go up against every day is extremely competitive. I mean, Callie acts like this is the national championship every day that she's playing. So I think backing off may have been a good thing, just because when they go out there, I mean, they have hard work as an intention.
Do you get a sense from your seniors how important this final home game is, this final regular season home game is coming up? Is it just another game, or is it extra?
No, it's not just another game. It never is for seniors. I think anytime that there's a finality to something, then you have some, you know, your heart's tugging at you, and there's a different feeling about it. And I know that those four it'll be a different feeling for them, even though I think we're anticipating hosting. So you get a little, I mean, I think they're going to have a little different feeling knowing that they might get to play again. But still, I mean, they understand the Eyes of Texas is not, they're not going to get to sing that if the NCAA tournament's going on here. So I'm sure that it will mean a lot to them. I think the fun part about senior night for me is how hard the other players play. I think that's always fun to watch, because you kind of get a feel on what they feel about each other. Senior night's hard for the seniors, and sometimes they don't play their best because it's sentimental to them. But it's always fun to watch the other players kind of rise up because it's their night.
I heard you explain, I think it was to one of the freshmen who piped up when you were talking about after practice one day about how you only have X amount of home games left, and one of the freshmen piped up and said, hey, if we're hosting, that's 2 more, and you're like, that's a different thing. I mean, was there an education process?
I remember when that was. It was Kelsey Lang. Trust me, the freshmen have no clue. It was not a freshman, because all they know is what's tomorrow. They probably just now found out we're going to Lubbock. So it was Kelsey, and I did have to explain that, because I think they thought it was going to be the whole, you know, smoke and everything else, and no, I mean, it's different.
Do any of the players even talk about the Baylor rematch? And do you hear it and have to stop them?
No,
You don't hear it?
no,
It's
no, I
okay.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
we've stayed in the moment pretty
Yeah.
good. You have to in this league. If you don't, we saw what happened.
And you're not going to Lubbock early?
No.
How come?
Just love it.
Well, no. I'm not gonna get myself in trouble. I'm not gonna talk about Dillard's or anything else. You know, we did this a few times when I was here as an assistant. We went on game day. And, I mean, it's a shorter flight than the drive up to Waco. So I think just letting them sleep in their own beds this time of the year might be an advantage for them. They would have missed class tomorrow anyway, so getting them up, letting them sleep a little bit, and then get up and get there for shoot around. I thought it might be something different for them. We haven't exactly played well out there, so I thought maybe we'd try something different. Anything else? Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Look.
Thank you.
Good one.